Welcome to the Central Pennsylvania Music Podcast. Tonight, Mitch Hood and Brenden Starr. This episode is sponsored by iRock Radio. And now your hosts, Daniel Kime and Alan McCutcheon.
Welcome to another episode of the Central Pennsylvania Music Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel.
And I'm your co-host, Alan.
Coming up, we have Mitch Hood.
And my personal friend and CPMA nominee, Brenden Starr. Stay tuned.
We're here with Mitch Hood, traveling all the way from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He has been a seasoned member of the Central Pennsylvania music community. Mitch, thank you so much for coming out here today and joining us.
Hey, no problem.
Great to have you on here. So tell us a little bit about what you do and your influence on the community. Let's get to know you a little bit here.
Because we know, but the viewers might not know.
Yeah.
This is true. So I've been playing in different bands for quite a while. Started playing in bands whenever I was 14 years old, 15 years old, just kind of doing the thing there. And since then, I've just played in different bands throughout the years. I started teaching music lessons full-time 5 years ago. Been getting into music production, making records with people, some film score work over the last 10, 15 years as well.
Wow. Make it sound like it's like no big feat. You're like, I've been doing some score work. I mean, over the last measly 10, 15 years. I mean, I've merely just started dabbling. It's I think you're a little more vested than that, but you actually scored the Port in PA
documentary.
Yeah. So tell us about that. How did that come to be? How did that fall into your lap?
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. So I know the guys at GK Visual, the company that shot and produced that film. I've known the owner, Nate Kresge, for a long time. And as he developed that company, they wanted to make this movie. And he knew that I was getting more into film score work and studio work. And so he just approached me and said, we're doing this film. I need somebody to score it. We want all original music. I don't want anything stock. So do you want to do this? And I was just like, absolutely. Like, it sounds like a blast. And I'd had some small projects before that, but that was like the first real kind of deal, big thing that I took on. And it was months,
How did you approach that?
Amazing.
Like, what was your thought process on that? Like, if you don't mind revealing some of your trade secrets or whatever, I don't know if you have a special process, but
no, that's fine. So it was interesting because with stuff like that, and I mean, really, any movie, any film, you're getting bits and pieces out of order. And it was for a documentary. It's a little more manageable just because there's still a mood you want to capture in the music you're creating, but it's a little different than like a feature.
Yeah.
There's like a scene that you like without the music, the scene really doesn't come to life. So that's a little different. The approach has to use a little more finesse for like a feature maybe,
sure,
or just a different approach to it. With the documentary, I was waiting on footage for a while because he hired me on to do it, and he's like, I'll have footage in 6 months or so. So I was like, okay. And so to get a jump on it, because I knew when the release date was. It was April, and he hired me like end of the summer prior.
Okay.
And so it was coming out in April, and I was just kind of watching the clock. And it was like October, November. I'm like, I don't have any footage yet. So I'm just going to start writing pieces that I think are cinematic and could fit into a movie some way, shape, or form. Just that would work for like a documentary. Just
sure,
something kind of inspirational, something a little emotional, something a little lighthearted, something kind of fun. Just different pieces of music. And so it was interesting to sort of take shots in the dark that way and just be like, well, I'm just going to put 5 or 6 things together that I feel will work, and just start sending them to them. And then so it worked out well because they actually they got some of the music from me and just started lining it up with the footage. And then they would send me a scene maybe later and be like, we want something kind of specific for this thing, for this scene. So,
so they kind of like
it got more dialed in.
Yeah, they dialed it
as
in
we got
for
closer.
you.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Okay.
But all the projects that you work on film-wise are basically like you get hired on, you have about a year to sort of kick it around, and then the last 2 months, it's like it all gets crammed in because you get
Crunch
all
time.
that, you get all that footage finally that they're like, okay, we finally got this shot, and it's just like release dates in 3 weeks. How you doing with the score? You just got like the last 65% of the footage sometimes, but that's just how it goes. So a little bit of prep up front, kind of just like I said, coming up with some pieces of music that that would likely work. Some of it'll work, so you're not starting completely from scratch whenever they get you everything else.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you've been in the industry for a very long time, and you've been making music for a very long time. Is there anything different or new that you experiment with making music for this?
Yeah, that's a constant evolving thing. I feel like you gotta keep the skill set sharp.
Oh my God, yeah, music itself is a beast,
right?
All on its own.
The creativity side of it, but even the technical side of just music production, audio engineering, new plugins that come out. Learning how to use them, learning what they are.
Yep.
Getting a hold of that stuff and being cutting edge and realizing how other records are being made. Like, what's the standard right now? What are people doing to get this record to be so outstanding? And it's a whole array of different things. The approach is different project to project, but yeah. So
with that being said, 'cause that's a very interesting response, I got to ask a little personal question here. So what would you say is the most recent project or production that you've heard that knocked your socks off as a music producer? Who have you heard recently that you're that production was astounding?
Okay, that's a great question. It's different now. It's not records so much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about this actually driving up here. I haven't heard a whole album for a long time that I'm and I'm not trying to downplay the good records that have been made in the last 5-10 years, but it's different because there's a lot of people that aren't really making records. They're making singles because
Mm-hmm.
the industry has moved that way with streaming, and you go listen to this person's new song. It's different. The experience used to be I would get that record and I would just dive into that thing for the whole weekend and just kind of learn every song and just
got
get
a whole
the
concept
influence.
for the album, and you're trying to experience that concept.
Right, exactly. So it's different. So I can say I could name some random singles that have kind of impressed me. I think the band Glass Animals is one to highlight.
Okay.
Their production is very left of center. It's a little not exactly what you'd expect all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what makes it awesome. It's still satisfying whenever they do whatever it is that they're doing. It's more interesting than maybe the basic obvious choice. And
Okay.
I think that's cool.
They almost highlight it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it special.
See what you
Yeah.
mean.
Okay.
Somebody sent me one of their songs the other day. I see exactly what you mean with that.
Yeah, they go out on limbs and some of the stuff coming from the music production angle of things, like the percussion loops that they build in that band.
Mm-hmm.
It's little things like that. I'll take away from a song or maybe a record that I really like, and I'm not hearing a lot of people put the attention to detail into that thing. And I think it's all the attention to detail to the little things like that make a great record or make a great single. Not just the good guitar sound or the drum sound or vocal sound, but every little thing. You need to just spend time on all of it.
Yeah,
Make sure it's all there.
Like you said before, you got to dial it in.
Mm-hmm.
Got to really dial it in.
You got to try everything, figure out what works and what doesn't.
Ooh, long process.
Oh man, yeah. Some of your best ideas turn out to be your worst. Some of your worst turn out to be your best. It's just
Or sometimes the simplest things. Not that it's one that I would normally throw out there, but you think about Light Switch by Charlie Puth. He was writing a song for ever, and he was I'm just missing this one sound that I know it needs it, but I don't know what it is. And then he hit a light switch, and he was like, "Oh my God!" And then he recorded it, and that was the entire song.
Somehow became part of the hook.
It became part of the
a
hook.
light
And it's
switch sound.
it's crazy how some people do that. It's I
That's
would
awesome.
I would say I don't know if you have a take on this, but the one that's knocked my socks off recently, Sleep Token.
Oh yeah.
Take
Totally,
me back
man.
to Eden.
They are another one.
That whole production is just because they're so genre bending, genre blending.
There's a lot of mystique around that band.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
that's
don't
the
even get me
whole. That's
started.
the whole entire thing.
Oh, I
they
love
really
it.
are.
I love the
this is
whole
awesome.
lore. I
Yeah.
love all of it. I can talk about that for an hour, but we're not
Yeah.
going to do that.
A good
really
friend of mine just got me turned on to that band in the last probably 2-3 months. I've only really found out about them. And they've only been around for a year and a half.
Dude, yeah, I got into
Maybe
them
2 or 3 or something.
right
It's
when they
not
first
long.
started, and then it was right after I started really diving into them, they just exploded
Yeah.
out of nowhere. They started headlining everything, selling
Playing
out
Wembley,
shows.
90,000 seats. These places, it's insane.
It's crazy. They're awesome. But dude, I do like the Glass Animals. I do. That's a good example. Any feature scores jump out to you?
Man, probably. I'd have to think on that one a little bit more.
fine.
But yeah,
We can
there's-
come back
there's
to that
some bands out
another
there.
time.
So it's back to the teaching part of your, can you go in a little bit deeper about what you do there?
Yeah. So, I've been teaching on and off kind of alongside of everything else for 10, 15 years. But in the last 5 years, I got a lot more deliberate and serious about it and just kind of making it an actual thing instead of just a side hustle. And I was playing guitar. I don't know if do you guys know who Madison Ryan is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing guitar for her for a while, and her dad actually was like, dude, you need to teach. Like, you should be teaching because I think you'd be good at it. And like, you're running around doing all this music stuff, and then you're basically trying to fit your day job in the midst of everything else you're doing. Like, if you just kind of make teaching what you're doing, like, it's part of all the other stuff that you're doing, and just you wake up and can work on music all day, whether it's teaching it, producing it, or playing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a great idea. I just like, much easier said than done. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
It was like a light switch moment.
Yeah, it was a light switch moment for me. Yeah.
You're like, oh, does that idea come with healthcare?
Yeah, exactly. So he actually got me pointed in the direction and hooked me up with the guys at Perfect Fifth
Okay.
Music Center down there in Mechanicsburg, and that's, I just started there, and everyone there was awesome and really cool, and it was awesome to work with them. And then just as time went on and the pandemic hit and we were all quarantined, I was just kind of getting it to happen. You know, it was
Ooh, yeah.
it was 2020 March that, you know, everything shut down. I was a year in, like 1 year in, and I was just like, this isn't cool, man. Like, I finally decided to like go for this, and now I have a huge obstacle, but it turned out, you know, it worked in my favor, weirdly, because I had to get everyone online. There was no other option. So when we did that, it made it so I was doing less running around. I could kind of stack and streamline my schedule, give people the times they wanted without having to worry about where I might be.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, yeah.
And then coming out of that, like, a lot of the moms and dads and the kids and even the adults that take lessons wanted to keep it that way. So I got a mix now of in-person and online, but it's probably 90% online, 10% in person at this point.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That, I guess that kind of opens up your schedule a little bit more because you don't have to travel as much, you know?
And I can work from wherever I'm at.
Exactly.
So I've literally like played shows and been, you know, out of town, and I'm like, oh man, I have 2 lessons, and I already have my guitar with me. I'll just hop on like in my hotel room, just crank through 2 lessons.
So what all
can work wherever I am, so it kind of helps.
Hell yeah! What all do you teach?
So mainly guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my principal instrument at this point. But I offer everything else kind of too. You know, vocal lessons, drum lessons, even online. Like I have a couple drummers I teach online, and they're ripping through songs, like doing great.
That's awesome.
Bass lessons right there with guitar lessons. Those are pretty easy. Vocal lessons are probably the ones that I actually get the least amount of.
Really?
People are insecure about their voice. It's
true.
Takes a little more gumption, I think, to kind of put yourself out there that way.
Especially
like,
even if you're doing it online too. I mean, like, a lot of people think like, oh, like, it's comfortable to do something from your home.
Yeah.
But like, speaking as like a former vocalist and everything, like, where I've lived, it's never really always been like an opportune place for me to be like, okay, I have a vocal lesson. I'm going to try and go for it when I have like a neighbor above me,
right,
beside me, and below me.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly soundproof. And they're just like, what is this guy doing?
Right.
And it's like, that can make you very self-conscious immediately.
Yeah.
Well, because vocal lessons, you know, you're also not supposed to be sounding like awesome. You're supposed to work on the stuff that kind of sucks.
Yes.
That's true.
You know, it's like working out. Like, you don't really want to like go do that in public. Like,
That's true.
you know, you put the time in, and then like the end result is what you want people to see, not like necessarily all the bad moments of like getting it there. And so that's definitely a self-conscious thing for a lot of people.
For sure.
You know, and it is tough to find the space to do it, no doubt.
Absolutely.
So
You not only play guitar, and you said it's your principal instrument, but you're also, I would say, pretty well known in this area for playing guitar with a very specific project that a lot of people have known to come and love. I mean, I think I'm allowed to say the name, but because it's not like you guys wear masks or anything, but you played guitar in
Makeup.
Dead.
I was gonna say just makeup.
It's almost the same, but yeah, you played guitar in Dead, correct?
Yeah, I did.
So,
that was awesome. That was a blast.
Yeah, and I heard you guys said you guys are definitely done, but I mean, it'd be like really cool if you guys weren't dead, pun intended.
I'm getting the sense that you're fishing a little bit right now.
I mean, is my bait working? Like, do I have to reel it in a little bit more? Do I have to entice you a little bit more?
I mean, I guess time will tell. We'll see, you know. We'll see.
We would love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone in this scene would love that because, like you were saying before, off camera, man, it's like that kind of gave like everyone like a go-to thing for Halloween. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna go see Dead, and like, I mean, and not to blow you up like too much, but I mean, like I said also off camera, like you guys really did create something like crazy, like so quickly too, because like you have your other cover bands, you have your Metallica bands, everything like that. You guys picked My Chemical Romance, and it's like not a lot of cover bands out there pick the bands that were like close to our generation's heart, and you guys just like exploded with it. So I mean, it was definitely something special. There's something special to be said about that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. And like, so my involvement in that band, like they had started it without me. So like they started it was going. I went to see the first show and was just like, what is going on here? Like,
this is awesome.
This is like a sold out show at Thecpmpodcast, and like I was just like, this is crazy that these guys, like, I didn't even really understand what like it was all about. But I guess they had done a cover show for like a Halloween show years ago. A bunch of bands, you know, did a tribute act, and they did My Chem. People loved it. They were showing up in My Chem t-shirts, and then so, you know, and Logan's good like this. Logan Summit, like he's just like, you know, if they want this, like I'm gonna figure out a way to keep giving it to them. Like we give them what they want, you know. And so yeah, like within a very short amount of time, you know, he had them booked at the Norva down in Norfolk, and like they sold it out. And it was like that was like 1,200 people or something. It was huge. And that was before my time in the band, but and then so from working with Logan Summit on like other records and stuff at Rockmill and just working together, he was like, I want you in this band at some point. He's like, I don't know like how yet, because like I don't need anybody. He's like, you know, we're kind of like, we have everyone we need. And I was like, well, just, you know, let me know like if you need someone. He goes, I'm sure. He's like, someone's gonna quit at some point. He's like, there's just, everyone has so much going on in their lives.
Oh,
like,
I believe it.
To try to do this. It's even just doing the one show a year. I mean, it's we start rehearsing 6-7 months out, you know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, that's why you guys put on such a good show.
It's true.
I mean, you got to put the time in if you want the result, you know, for sure. And it's a lot of, everyone works on that stuff at home. I'll get together with Brandon and Greg and work on the guitar stuff, like just the three of us, and then we'll have like full band rehearsals. But I mean, it's 6 months, you know, ish of like prep to make sure that all that stuff is dialed. So, so anyway, you know, it's even just one show a year. It's a healthy ask of anyone's time.
Absolutely.
And so he's like, you know, everyone's got stuff going. He's like, it's just people are going to he's like, I feel like this is going to be something that people kind of will be in and out of to some degree. Like, he's like, I want a core group of people, but like if so-and-so can't play guitar for this one show, like we'll get somebody to jump on for that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think he kind of just created this. He's like, why don't you come play keyboards? I was like, I mean, yeah, I started on piano at 7 or 8 years old, but like I would play piano. I was like, you want me to play keys? And he's like, yeah, it'll be fun. He's like, just do that. He's like, you know, just get involved with it somehow. And I was like, okay. So like we did 3 shows, and you know, I was like really uncomfortable playing keys. Like I messed up Black Parade like twice in the 3 shows just because I'm not good at that.
You haven't played it for however long?
Man, yeah, not at all. So, yeah, we did that handful of shows, and then it was, I don't know, maybe the next year that we went out to do gigs, and he was just like, Steven, our old guitar player, moved to Ohio, and so, like, he had to back out of it. And so he was like, well, there you go. He's like, I told you something would happen. So he's like, step up, play guitar, and it's just been that ever since, but it's a blast. I love doing those shows. There may or may not be one this fall. We'll have to wait and see.
Fingers crossed, man.
Don't you tease me like that. I don't like that.
You know you love it though.
You shut your mouth. You know you love it.
I'm getting on that stage though. If you guys do, I'm doing it,
dude. Absolutely. And you were telling a story before we started here today that you did a stage dive last show that we did have.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll call it that. Security wasn't a fan of it, you know.
And it worked out. And how did it work out for you?
Security grabbed me. They pulled me to the side. It turned out I knew the one guy, and he's like, "What'd you do?" And I was like, long story short, I was in it. He's like, "Just go blend in."
He's like, "What'd you do?" You're like, "I was being awesome, man. I
was being really cool. You should try it sometime."
Yeah. I guess to give the full story, it all stemmed from the first year. Whenever they were rehearsing at Rockmill, I went to one of the practices, and I kept telling Logan and Derek I was gonna get hammered and jump on stage with them, and they were like, "Yeah, actually do it." And then I did, and It was fun. And then I tried it again the last year and it did not work. It was bad. Hurt my back.
Oh man. Well, we'll see if there's another opportunity.
Yeah, man, I would love that. Help me up there maybe next time.
I will.
Well, you just don't keep a lookout for Danny. He's like, you come here. He's like, yes, they chose me. But
it's all rigged. It's all rigged.
Yeah. So it's all part of it.
You've obviously you're involved in many different facets of the music industry here, whether it's writing scores, producing music, performing the music, giving lessons for the music. We like to ask every guest this. I mean, it's no mystery that there is something special about Central PA and music that comes from it. And you can name plenty of bands and plenty of famous names that come from here. From someone that is involved in so many different facets of the music industry, what do you have to say? What do you think makes Central PA so special?
Support.
You know, it's not the first time we've gotten that. And I think you're right. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you know, it's people coming to see the shows. It's people, you know, caring about what it is that you're involved in doing. Original music. I mean, even if it's a cover show, man. I mean, it's just like I go watch my friends playing cover bands all the time, and it's just you still get to see them play music.
Absolutely.
And there's still something great about that. I mean, I'm very pro original music as much as you can make it happen. You know, spoken from someone who plays guitar in a tribute band. But I mean, that's the ultimate goal. You know, as much original content as people can get out there. Yeah, but I feel like Central PA is interested in that, and they're supportive of their, you know, local community in that way, and that's what makes the difference. And especially nowadays too, it's like with so much being able to be done online, you don't have to like move to New York City or move to LA.
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt necessarily depending on what you're going after, but it's cool that like the options are out there that you can pursue a career in these fields and be successful at it. And kind of live wherever you want. You can stay home, close to family, whatever it is you need to kind of stay close to. So
that's true. Yeah.
Do you think there's any steps we could take to progress even further, like to make, let's say, Harrisburg or Lancaster or Hershey like a mini Nashville almost?
Yeah, I mean, there's always steps.
Yeah.
That every community can take, you know, to better its situation and be more supportive. But you know, I think we're doing well. I think that you know, if we can keep perspective, stay humble, you know, don't get carried away with trying to be too cool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you know, we've got some good venues that have popped up in the last 5 to 10 years, which is really helpful. Absolutely. And I think that's like, you know, the more of that we can get, like cool spots for bands to play, cool places to go see live music. Yeah. You know, that
is key for sure.
That's key, and we've got it. You know, we've got some of it going on. You can always have more.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I mean, you're involved in a lot of different things. Is there anything big, exciting that we can be looking forward to from you? Anything that you're excited to be working on coming up soon?
Yeah, I'm scoring a feature film. It's like a proof of concept, so it's like a 15-20 minute thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to be part of that. I can't say much more.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. Absolutely. I don't know if I can share it, even the proof of concept thing, until like everything else is figured out. But I'll let you know.
Hey, we don't want to get a cease and desist
yeah.
either. So
yeah.
Hey, we'll let it ride.
Keep it legal here.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
But yeah, that's cool. I'm stoked to see how that's going to turn out. My daughter's actually starting to release some music. She's recording some singles and wants to make a record, and she's enlisted my help. So that's a fun project. There's a little bit of butting heads that happens. But that's all part of it, and
awesome.
So I'm stoked about that. Like she's, you know, I know I'm supposed to say it, but like she's got really good songs. Like objectively, I listen and I'm like, this is good. Like this could be something. Like so.
It's like
so
you are my child. This is what confirms it.
Oh man, it's she's like outdoing me though, so it's one of those. I'm just like, okay, cool. Like you got all the good stuff and then made up your own on top of it, and it's like she'll be unstoppable. She's got a lot going for her, so I'm really excited for her future and to finish some songs of hers and get those out, and general studio projects, you know, a couple different artists. I'm releasing some of my own music here and there. So
that's awesome.
What kind of music are we looking at?
For me?
Yeah.
So I just kind of like, as a producer, engineer, songwriter, guitar player, I like sitting in the studio started to get to a point where I was like, I just want to push the envelope as much as I can. Like I want catchy, poppy stuff, but like I don't just want to have it sound like, you know, like another punk rock song, because I've written and recorded hundreds of those, you know,
Yeah.
or just another typical pop song like that I've produced and written with other people. Like, just how can I treat stuff to, you know, kind of like back to the Glass Animals and just the approach to production of like, what can I do that's, you know, just a little more left of center, just weirder.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey, yeah.
like I always ask the question, well, what can I do to make this more interesting? Like, you know, if it's just the same guitar thing, but like, what if I tried it with this amp and this guitar and sent it through these effects and like, you know, treated it this way, just whatever it is, and just keep turning the knobs until it's right. You
Just
know?
really bring a new sound.
As much as I can.
Yeah.
You know, I like to take real and fake drums and make like a hybrid where you kind of can't tell, like just interesting drum sounds that they're treated and affected, but it could be a real kit. It could be somebody playing. It could be something you just lined up the samples. Like, if you can't tell, what's the difference? You know, it's just as long as
Not
it sounds awesome at the end of the day.
Bend the
So,
rules, man. The
Right.
rules are
That's-
meant to be bent or
Yeah.
broken.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know which way I want to go with that. But for anyone that wants to get involved with you, man, whether it's production, score tracks, lessons, where can they find you, man?
So usually people reach out through like Facebook and Instagram, social media. Like my phone number and contact info is all up on those pages too. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, people will just shoot you a Facebook message, an Instagram message, or whatever. But yeah, reach
That's
out.
awesome.
Let's make music.
Absolutely,
great.
man. Well,
All right.
hey, thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Of
Yeah.
course,
Appreciate it.
dude. It was a pleasure sitting down and talking with you. And
Likewise,
you better
guys.
not be. You better not be teasing us. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
It's
I'm
the
gonna
thrill of
leave
the
it on that
chase,
note.
bro. Thrill of the chase. You just
Thrill of
you
the
gotta
chase.
you gotta just keep focused and be like, was he like goofing off and like, was he serious? Is that actually happening?
I'm gonna create like 7 different Facebook accounts and send you messages and be like, so is this real? Is this happening? I'm gonna do it strategically throughout the year.
It's perfect.
Don't you
I
worry,
love
it's
it.
coming.
I love it, dude. That's great. Do
All
it.
right, man. Well,
Cool.
everyone, Mitch Hood, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Dude, thank you guys.
We certainly had a great time chatting with Mitch.
Oh yeah, man. Definitely learned a lot there. I mean, great guy.
Yeah.
But now it's time to sit down with our buddy Brenden Starr. And we're sitting down with Brenden Starr. Brenden, first of all, it's a pleasure to see you again.
I know, right?
Some of our viewers, if they've picked up on it, this is not my first time meeting Brenden. Brenden and I actually have history together. We'll get into that at some point, but right now I want to talk about you, man. So first of all, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, I mean, you're nominated for not 1, but 2 awards this year at the 2023 CPMAs. You're nominated for the Best Male Solo Artist as well as the Best Cover Song of the Year.
Yep.
How does that make you feel, man?
I was surprised when I seen the cover song. I love doing remakes with the cover stuff. The male soloist of the year, that was one I was really shooting for.
Of course.
Just because I've been very, very busy last year. I had a really good year back in the scene with releases and a couple of small tours I did with some national artists.
It's
And
awesome,
then be really
dude.
busy, obviously, with my festival. So, I mean, it kind of really does put my name out there.
I was going to bring that up.
Makes me-
Because
yeah.
you do put on a festival as well that's all nonprofit, just like the
Yep.
Central Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
So tell us about it, man, like for some of the viewers that might not know about it.
It's always just been a dream of mine as a kid to bring a music festival to the Hanover area or York County in general.
That's awesome.
So when I got asked to join the Hanover JCs a few years back, I always knew what the group was and what they were about. I just was never a big community service type person.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, if I join, will they be open to my idea of putting on a music festival?
Yeah.
So sure enough, I got the votes for it, and it's been going good. Here we are, the 3rd year coming up this May 11th.
That's
And
awesome, man.
the past 2 years, attendance has been pretty good. I mean, it's been like 800 to like 900 people for the first 2 years.
That's
not bad for
pretty
building
good.
from the ground up.
Yeah, exactly right. That's a good foundation
and
to
I
start
haven't
with.
started like my big ad campaigns yet until maybe next month, but it's trending really good right now.
That's awesome. Who do you got lined up for the festival? Are you allowed to say?
Yeah, the flyers and stuff's already out.
Okay.
You can find that stuff. There's a couple really good tribute bands. I've always wanted some good tribute bands.
Okay.
I got Age Against the Machine. They're like the top area Rage tribute band.
Awesome.
Pantera. I've always wanted them.
Pantera's good.
Yeah. And Fade to Black. They're from Baltimore. They're like the top Metallica tribute band.
That's awesome, dude. Good for you, man.
I know.
You got the top.
I have them all stacked together on the pavilion stage because I strictly want the pavilion stage to be some new up and coming artists, but mainly like the tributes and covers.
Okay.
Because it's like a sit down setting down there, and
Okay.
a lot of people might just want to eat or drink and relax
And listen to the music.
yeah.
Okay.
So now like the main stage, there was a lot of touring bands this year. I'll name a few. So the headliner's Jimmy's Chicken Shack.
Okay.
Another band as a kid that I really loved that's coming back this year. They were on a hiatus. A band called Simon Says. They were signed to Hollywood Records
I heard
right
of them.
before Breaking Benjamin got on there. Really good, and hopefully My Fest can break more because of their doing their comeback this year.
Absolutely, dude.
Their drummer is very well known in the community in the drummer world. His name's Mike Johnston. He's one of the best heel to toe practitioners. If you're coming from a drummer world, the single to make it sound like a double. So yeah, it was exciting to get them. I'll tell you a quick story of how I got them originally, and I could say this now because I had Taproot. Taproot was supposed to be the headliner,
Dude,
but
for real.
because Rockville is that weekend,
Okay.
and I'm moving the festival date next year to the third week of May.
Okay.
Because Rockville's blowing up, and all the bands that I tried to get, they're all playing Rockville. And Taproot was supposed to play, but Steven, and this is what I got from management, Steven doesn't like to do fly-ins, the singer. So they would have had to come play my festival, more than likely go down to BWI, fly into Daytona, and he's not a big, like, fly-by-night guy, like, not a big flyer in general, from what I got. So, and then obviously got paid more. So I can't compete with that.
Yeah, no. So
No.
I mean, that's smart though. So you're like, okay, cool. Like, I'm just gonna move it to the next week because
there's
if
nothing
they're
on that
already
weekend.
gonna be there for Rockville, then they can just stay or whatever, and then they can just come the next week.
Yeah, they could do it East Coast to North and pick up the festival and a date to like Philly
Absolutely.
or, like New York.
That's a good move,
And it really
man.
sucked because Taproot hasn't been on East Coast in years, so it would have benefited my festival a lot. But
Hey,
I'm happy with Simon Says.
dude, absolutely, man.
Yeah. So
So that's great. So I mean, like you were talking about. I mean, you can obviously talk very well to the drummer world because I don't know if all of your viewers know this or not, but like, not only are you a talented singer, but you're also a very talented drummer.
Yeah.
Because you actually used to be the drummer. You were the drummer in our band together.
a lot of people forget that I am a drummer. I mean, obviously on my record, I write all this stuff too.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not opposed to ever doing a side project if I ever had time to commit to being in like another metal band. But
Dude, I'm right there with you, man.
yeah,
If I
I
can
mean,
make the
I'm the
time-
third generation drummer and singer in my family. I'm brought up through country in general, but I was the one that branched out into the rock and the metal stuff.
Dude,
So.
I remember when we first got you, I was like, thank God. I was like, he can play.
I know, right? Yeah.
Thank God. I was like, we didn't have to teach you the fundamentals as non-drummers on how to teach drums. So it was a blessing, man. So I mean, and
Yeah.
also, I mean, thank God we had you. I think like through our peak of like the band then too. I mean,
Yes.
we got to have you in the music video. I mean, dude, it was good times.
The video, I still go back and watch it every once in a while.
Dude, so do I. Sometimes
Do you?
people remind
Yeah.
me, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's like I do have a music video. Like when I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's been a minute since I've watched it. But yeah, dude, I mean, it was good times, man, for sure. I'm right there with you. Like if I ever had the time again, yeah, maybe
I
talk
know.
to me.
I was
6
thinking
months
that
or
even
so.
when I was like bringing it up the other day to him. I was like, he probably doesn't have any time at all.
No, man.
I know I have
unfortunately.
time to squeeze another band in my schedule, but I never know when I'm going to get offered like a mini tour now.
Yeah.
Like I have like 3 mini tours that are not even announced yet for the year. I don't even know where they are. I don't know who they're going to be with.
Hey, man, we can't let a side project hold you back because I mean, you've definitely gained some momentum right now. I mean, you also just recently released in 2023. You released your album, your full-length album, Hopeless Romantic.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've been getting some pretty good feedback on that. I mean, I've definitely heard a couple people. I've heard people mentioning your names like in and
This is
around the
good.
scene now. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like it's awesome, man. Because I know you've been doing this prior to when we were in a band together. You
Yeah.
continue to do this.
I remember
after the
showing you
band.
text messages from producers that I was going to work with, and some of those ideas never happened. But just to show you, I was like, "Yo, you got to see this. Like, what do you want me to do?" I was like, kind of get your feedback. Should I do this? And I remember this particular producer. He had somebody else that he was working with. He's like, "Dude, he's worked with some Bieber stuff." And I remember showing. He's like, "Dude, should I, go do this?" And this is like when we weren't like at the tail end of our band.
Yeah.
I was still trying to like take on this other opportunity of being a solo artist, and that brought a lot into his band or our band. At the time.
Yeah.
Because I was doing a lot of the cleans, and I used to wear a headset. I always did backing vocals, but
Yeah.
bringing like more of songwriting with him, and when we were able to do a lot of call and response stuff, it was really fun, and
It was.
Awesome.
we got a lot of Under Oath vibes towards the end there and
I
feedback.
think we did, yeah, for sure. Yeah, which was weird because I was never an Under Oath fan, but like, I mean, not that I wasn't like I disliked them, but I just never jumped on the bandwagon. It was cool. It was funny. That's how it played out. Yeah, we did.
That
we
last
did get a lot
Champ
of that.
show was awesome.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it was cool. But I mean, you like I said, you've been getting a lot of good feedback from this Hopeless Romantic thing. But I mean, the other crazy thing is like, dude, you're getting a lot of streams in like the UK.
I know.
Like,
yeah.
which is like, I was that like planned? Like, were you trying to write for the UK, or was that just kind of like how the dominoes are falling?
It's how it's falling now. I mean, as far as like in the States, I see like New York is always like in my top 10, LA, Chicago, and I see Houston a lot. But Europe, I think some of the curators I worked with, it hits with the European market more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
UK is really heavy. And then I was on a podcast called Blood, Sweat, and Beers. You guys check them out. They're doing really good things in the UK.
Okay.
And they added a third member to their group of 2 guys. I can't remember his name because I'm drawing a blank right now. The singer of Bowling for Soup.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Reddick, I think his last name is.
I think so.
Yeah.
I submitted, and it's not, unfortunately, it's not the cover that's on that list. My cover, Rich and Mark, Should Have Known Better. I submitted that for them to listen to live because they do it on Twitch.
Okay.
And I got on, I was in the forums talking, and he was just blown away. Like, dude, he's like, I love this cover. And he's like, wow, this is just done right. This is not like no cookie cutter. Like, you just, it's something whole new. It's just a pop punk vibe that I did with it. And then he's like, I love the vocals and this and that. He's like, wow, I hope this gets on Spotify's top Pop Goes Punk cover list. Really blowing it up. So then we became friends on Facebook and had a couple little chats in Messenger. I'm like, this is cool. I never met the guy, but I offered to, if he comes in area, let's meet, or even give me an opening gig.
If we can hope. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Like that, yeah.
I mean, he's giving me all this good feedback and talking to me in Messenger. I said, why not shoot my shot?
Dude, yeah, that's how it all works, man.
I mean, I'm not a full pop punk band. I mean, I tend to ride the top 40 stuff and get a little edgy with a couple other songs in the album, but I think I could make it work.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I mean, that's got to be such an empowering.
Jeremy Reddick.
Yes,
There we go.
that's exactly who it is.
Yes.
Yep. But dude, that's got to be so empowering. Like that, he was like, dude, I love the cover of my song that you did. Like that's crazy.
When I specifically told the podcast guys, this is a song I want to submit because I think I knew in the back of my mind he was going to know the song because I know he's a little bit up in age and he probably has a good catalog of music.
Yeah.
And he knew it right away. And the other guy, I think both of them were stumped. They didn't know that was a cover.
Okay.
And then one guy's like, wow. He's like, Brendan's such a great vocalist. You hear it shine through his music. And he's like, this is a cover, right? And he's just like, he froze. And I watch it, and I'm like, he's frozen. He gets on his phone, and he's like looking to see and checking or whatever. And he's like, yeah, this is a cover. And he's like, expletive, like, amazing cover. And he's like, wow. Yeah. So to sum it up, like, that was a really good one as far as a good live feedback. That
Absolutely, man.
So at what point did you kind of make the bridge from going from being a drummer in metal bands to being a solo artist? What was the driving factor there?
I've always been the solo artist, singer, songwriter. The drumming stuff came in like when I joined with him.
I'd say it was kind of the opposite. Like
I dropped
you were
in-
always a solo artist, and then you bridged into the metal.
Sorry.
I was like, being a drummer and I had all the gear. And you've seen all the stuff I had.
Oh, yeah.
Really nice equipment.
Mm-hmm.
It was just sitting. Like I have another talent, and I was taking a little small break from the solo stuff. I was just kind of hitting the wall, not personally or songwriting. It was just at that time the PA scene compared to like now, I can reach out to a lot of people that want to play. It just wasn't there. So when I saw his bass player needed a drummer, it was kind of like a no-brainer. And Billy played with me anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if he ever played a show. He rehearsed with me a couple of times.
No, I think he played one show with you. I think no, he played a couple shows. He had to have. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll get with Billy.
We can fact check
off
that.
camera. Yeah, we can fact check that later. But yeah, no, I mean that's smart. Like you said, you're not wrong. I remember that too because back in the time when we were in the band together, and you told me you were a solo artist, it was like at the time, and it wasn't to be rude or anything, but I was like, that's interesting. Like, you don't really hear about a whole lot of solo artists like
Almost
blowing
like,
up
like an acoustic Jack Johnson thing.
Exactly. Like, yeah. And so
I can't play guitar at all.
Yeah.
Nope.
And
But when I'm in the studio, it's right there what I want and how I'm hearing it. And if you're a good guitar player, they can write what I'm hearing because it's always drums with me.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'm always writing around a rhythmic pattern. And I tend to pick up keys after drums, like synthesizers and dancey type stuff.
which is that's good though, because I mean that's all music theory, man. Like, so if you can play the drums and the keys, you got a pretty solid foundation when it comes to writing music.
Yeah.
So we got to ask though. So I mean, like I said, your album's been doing well and everything. It's called Hopeless Romantic. You could say that the album name like speaks for itself, but like, what was the actual influence behind or the inspiration behind Hopeless Romantic?
A lot of positive vibes on that record. I wanted to talk on a bunch of different subjects, a lot of like heartbreak stuff. And I always did feel like I was hopeless romantic. I just struggled not being happy for years and, finding relationships or things not working out. But, I mean, you got songs on the record like Top of the World. I wrote that song like 10 years ago on my iPad. And that was the first song we did in the studio. And I don't know if you're aware, like Hayden's my go-to guy in the studio. Everything that I do, I just do with him.
The dude.
We just have such a good chemistry in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, let's do that song first. That's a very positive song, about being able to take the hits and not getting, get kicked when you're down, and still fighting through all that stuff and staying positive and, feeling like you're going to be on top of the world someday.
Mm-hmm.
Not just only like in my music career, but I want it to be related with like if this is a certain career choice that you're going for. And I always say this at some of my shows at the end before I do the song, like, follow your dreams, but this song is not saying like to just go be a full-on musician.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get a certain job or promotion you're going for,
yeah,
try to relate it like that. I can use a good example. Photographer Chris Ryder.
Yeah.
He always tells me my favorite song of yours is still always Top of the World. But he has a moment in his life there he was impacted a lot, and he's able to relate within the lyrics of Top of the World.
Yeah.
To something about, I don't know if it has to do with him pursuing photography or something that he can really relate to.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like
he's told me that personally, like once or twice now. So it definitely
we love
means
Chris
a lot.
Ryder,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
He's a good
such
dude.
A solid guy.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him right before your festival that you put on, and then he was like, "You going? I love going to this every year." So I know Chris is a huge fan of you. He's
absolutely
such a great guy. You need to get him back on here sometime soon.
So 100%. But being a solo artist, man, I mean, like I said, that's an undertaking for sure.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to some of the younger musicians right now? Because we've seen firsthand, we've got a great younger generation of musicians coming up.
Yep.
From the Youth Music Showcase and everything. What kind of advice is someone that is doing it now? What kind of advice would you give to these younger artists that want to kind of do the same thing that you're doing?
Just be smart and like weigh out all your options. Don't go like guns a-blazing just yet. Because there's so many different people in the business that can burn you financially. And you have a lot of options now with social media and so many people get into the business, whether it's promoting or independent labels or booking. Just trying to take it like one day at a time. Like I think it's good to do a lot of shows, but not like within like the same proximity. Like,
yeah.
I don't like to oversaturate, and
that's a good point. Yeah.
I know I don't get up to Harrisburg a lot, but that's not my fault. I'd love to play up here more, but I tend to get more shows, out of town now. I mean, that's one thing, like just, don't oversaturate yourself and don't get stressed out so early on in it. Like nobody's showing up to my shows and stuff like that. Like it does take time because, I mean, we've all played those shows where there's like 5 people in a room and you're playing for the merch person or your girlfriend or something like that.
100%. Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah.
We've been there. So that's good advice, man.
Yeah.
So you've been at this for a while. You got some skin in the game, to say the least.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges as a solo artist?
I'd say my name to start with. I've had this stage name because my real name is Brenden, obviously. Right away when they hear my name, and this is what I got back from booking agents, they think pop. Why? Because I have a star attached to my name. Right away, I'm a straight pop artist, and they don't know how to book me or something. Star actually means some things are real, right? It's an abbreviation. I just don't abbreviate it. And it's a saying that means a lot to me because I'm as real as I'm going to be through my lyrics. Even right now when I'm talking to you, I'm not going to BS anything.
Yeah.
So it's always been like that. For 10 to 12 years, I've had that last name. So that's always been a little bit of a struggle selling my name because right away they think I'm a full-on pop artist. Like I'm getting up there and I'm dancing and doing me just to my tracks and a MacBook. I got
you're a
backing
one-stop
band.
shop in sync Backstreet Boys.
Yes, man. I'm breaking out like the balloon pants and the shiny shirt and the goggles on the head.
Oh my god!
Maybe
And
do
the
it just
fuzzy
like-
visors.
Yeah,
Just do like one cover of like Backstreet Boys just to troll, you know?
I mean, I feel like my Christmas remake I did of NSYNC's "Merry Christmas."
Oh my
Happy
god, that's right.
Holidays.
That's
Yeah, you
why that
did.
was in my mind.
Me and Hayden, we just killed that song.
Dude,
Yeah.
it was good, man. It was very good.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, you. I never really thought about that. How like just the name, like it could cause, like I won't say like anything wrong, but it could create hiccups. It could cause like
yeah, because they think pop, but there were some '80s people. I mean, you had Ringo Starr. I mean, I could say Jeffree Star, but he was not really. I mean,
yeah.
he had his own thing. I guess it's just because of that stars there right away. They think of a pop star, or a
Exactly.
superstar.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
But like there's also like rock stars, you know?
Yeah, there was like an '80s band. I think there was somebody in. I can't remember the one that had it in there. The name started from an audition I did in like 2010. I went to some MTV talent audition in Times Square, and I met this A&R guy that was there for Atlantic, and I wasn't prepared. I went and sang like one of my originals, but I didn't have tracks laid out right. I just sang it like to the track, and it wasn't a disaster. It just wasn't well prepared.
It wasn't your best.
So the guy, he was there. He's like, dude, I love you. Let's stay in touch. And then he's like, we got to do something to your name. So he made me drop my last name, which my last name is Weaver. And he's like, how about we call you Brenden Starr? I was like, all right, I like it, you know. And I was like, I'm thinking about it more. It's just too easy. So I was like, okay, let's change the E in my name. My mom's name's Brenda. So I took the A out and put the extra E in my name. So Brenden Starr. Well, it still wasn't good enough. So I added the second R. And I was like, well, let's see if I can make an abbreviation. Something that means something to me. And that's how it all came together is Brenden, some things are real, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I never
man.
told you that this whole time.
No,
Like,
you
that's a
didn't.
first.
You didn't. I just thought it was your
Yeah.
stage
I
name.
definitely wanted to get that across because this was so recent that I had this brought up about my name when I was asked for a show placement. I'm like, oh, he's pop. That's what they told the person. I'm like, no.
No, I'm not.
You can listen to my record. You can hear one or two songs. They're definitely pop vibes. But then you go into a song like Gravity or something.
Yeah.
I like to call it my Linkin Park vibes.
Okay.
That's about as heavy as I'm gonna get you, unless you want me to throw somebody in there and start doing some double bass or blast beats. I don't know. Yeah.
So we like to ask every guest this because we are the Central Pennsylvania Music Podcast. We work with the Central Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame because there is obviously something very special about the Central Pennsylvania music scene. We always like to get every musician's take or every guest's take. What is it that you think makes Central Pennsylvania so special with its music? Or why do you think we're just generating and pumping out all of these good musicians? What's your take?
I just think it's a really good scene. It's a lot of music to choose from. I don't see a lot of like too many egos around the area. I tend to think a lot of bands get along. I feel it's very strong, and it's actually I feel like it's better than maybe like 7-8 years ago. Even like when we were doing our thing, I think it's grown more where it's a bigger community.
It definitely has grown since then, for sure.
You can reach out to so many bands for placements now. If you're putting a show together, like, hey, do you want to play this show? Like, there's usually like 4 or 5 of this genre. If you're putting on a metal show, there's so many metal bands in the area that I see a lot of them jumping on bills, or I hear bands, dropped off when they make a call, like, oh yeah, we can play it. So I see and hear a lot of that going on now. I would say it's definitely a good community, and then of course we have all these like local community pages on Facebook where there's postings on, hey, I need a bass player, or
that's true.
There's a band that can't play this Saturday, can take some inquiries or something on it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of support
Yeah, I would say in total, it's just a really big group, and I like to think that a lot of people look out for this band or that band or like to help. So I would say I see a lot of that going on. Like if you need a show or a placement, somebody can help you kind of find a way or
Camaraderie.
suggest you like a venue or another musician can check you out to try out.
Absolutely, man.
Because I do pay attention to a lot of like all the local community pages. Like what's the one? It's Harrisburg Community Concerts or Live Events or something like that.
Yeah.
I'll check that a lot and see what's kind of popping on there.
So you stay within the know of everything, you know?
Yeah, I
Gotta
try.
keep
I
your
mean,
ear to the ground.
Yeah.
being a full-time musician, but then still do the festival. So I got to act as like a promoter too to kind of see what is the latest trends or who's the new up-and-coming band I should like look at to book.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
man.
it's certainly important.
So-
Well, I guess we have a live performance coming up as well then, don't we?
I was gonna say you're gonna bless us with that live performance.
Yeah, I'm gonna do because we didn't talk about this. So my
Okay.
new EP comes out in August 30th.
I was
Yes.
also
Yes.
gonna
I'm
bring
doing
it up.
the
Sorry.
release show at Love Drafts. It's gonna be a stack night.
Okay.
The EP is gonna be called Reimagine. It's three songs on there are revisions of my one song Gravity, Top of the World, Dreams, and then 2 new songs.
Okay.
So we're gonna do Gravity, which is on the album. It's an acoustic version, but on the album
Awesome.
it's got strings and it's a little bit more atmosphere to it.
Ooh.
So I'll be eventually doing like a video to that later this year as well.
Awesome, man.
Actually,
Yeah.
a lot of videos being pumped out this year.
Sweet, dude.
Hell
I think
yeah.
You know I love music videos,
Yeah.
man. You know I'm a huge fan of the music videos.
For one person, it's hard to pull off.
I-
'Cause you think about 3 or 4 members when it comes to the financial side of videos.
A lot easier
Yeah.
than just one. Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense. But dude, I'm pumped to hear it, man. I'm sure
Yep.
the viewers are ready to hear
that's
it.
gonna be good.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you for coming on,
Yeah,
man.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for
without
having me.
further ado, dude, live performance from Brenden Starr.
What's up, everybody? I'm Brenden Starr. This is my song Gravity.
How many times I said it's over? This conversation ends now. And you won't leave until I'm sober, 'cause you know how this all goes down. And you're my serenity, but there's forces at work, they are pushing you away. And it gets the best of me. This gravity is pulling me back to stay. I run, I try to hide feelings left aside, a piece stuck deep inside. Never tell a lie, cross my heart, I hope to die. And don't be surprised if I never say goodbye. My serenity, but there's forces at work, they are pushing you away. And it gets the best of me. This gravity is pulling me back to stay. You're my serenity, but there's forces at possess me. This gravity is pulling me back to stay. To stay.
Well, we would just want to take a moment to thank Brenden for another incredible performance. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Central Pennsylvania Music Podcast.
Until next time, guys.